I was just 9 years old when this happened. For some reason, I was home alone that night. It wasn't unusual. My mom would sometimes leave me alone for short periods while she went grocery shopping. I wasn't allowed to answer the door to anyone when I was by myself. That rule was drilled into me. I was upstairs in my room, playing Metroid Prime on my GameCube, completely obsessed with that game at the time. Everything felt normal, until the phone rang. It was the house phone downstairs. My mom had always told me to answer it in case she was calling. So I paused the game and rushed down. By the fourth ring, I picked it up. The caller ID said it was my mom's cell phone. I answered, "Hello." Her voice came through. "Sweetie, can you come outside and help with the groceries?" Something about her voice didn't sound right. I hesitated. "Mom." "Yes, sweetie," she replied. And just like that, I knew something was off. You know your own mom's voice. You know the way she speaks. This wasn't it. Her tone was strange. Too sweet, too unnatural. My mom never called me sweetie like that, especially not twice in a row. I asked, "Why do you sound like that?" She answered, "Like what, sweetie?" I hung up. My heart was pounding. My instincts were screaming at me that something was wrong. A second later, the phone rang again. Same caller ID, my mom's number. I didn't answer. Instead, I sat in the kitchen, frozen, staring at the phone. After a minute or two, it rang a third time, but this time it was a different number. I answered hesitantly. A man's voice. "Hey James, I know this sounds weird, but it's your dad. I'm outside. I have a lot to explain." My blood went cold. "What? I'm outside," he repeated. "I'll explain everything." I hung up. My dad had died when I was 3. I had no memories of him. And now a stranger was pretending to be him. Just minutes after someone pretending to be my mom tried to lure me outside. The phone rang again and again. I ignored each one. I wanted to call my real mom, but I couldn't. Whoever had her phone might still be using it. I didn't know what to do. That's when the knocking started. It wasn't just a phone scam anymore. Someone was outside the house. Then came the voice, muffled but clear enough. A man was at the front door, calling my name. "It's your dad," he said. "Open up." Then the doorbell rang. I heard the doorknob rattle as he tried to open it. Panic gripped me. I ran to the phone and dialed 911. The dispatcher kept me calm. She told me to hide somewhere safe with a lockable door until the police arrived. I locked myself in the downstairs bathroom, lights off, trying not to breathe too loud. Then I heard them again. Whoever was outside moved to the windows, pulling, tapping, trying to get in. One window after another. Every door handle was tested. I think they tried every possible way in. If even one had been unlocked, this story might have ended very differently. Eventually, it stopped. The dispatcher stayed on the line, and a few minutes later, she told me, "The police are at the front door. It's safe to come out now." I opened the bathroom door and walked slowly to the front entrance. When I saw the officers, I broke down. I finally hung up the phone. They searched the property, asked questions, where my mom was, if we knew anyone who might try to hurt us. I told them I thought she was just grocery shopping. She came home shortly after with my little sister. When she saw the flashing lights outside the house, she went into a full panic. Her phone had been stolen, that much was already obvious. It was an old Nokia flip phone, and I'm sure it stored our address, home number, and who knows what else. There was even a photo of me, my sister, and my mom as the background. To someone with bad intentions, that could have looked like a single mom with 2 small kids. Easy targets. They used her phone to try and lure me out, first with a fake version of her voice, then with a man pretending to be my dad, someone I barely even remembered. I don't know who they were. A creepy couple, maybe, but whoever they were, they planned this, and it still makes me sick to think about. After that night, things changed. My mom didn't leave me alone anymore, not until I was much older. To this day, I don't know how far they were willing to go, or what might have happened if I'd opened the door. If you've ever experienced anything remotely like this, or anything even stranger, leave your story in the comments. And please don't ignore your instincts. They might save your life. When my cousin and I were in our early 20s, we used to take camping trips across Colorado. This particular experience happened when I was 22, and he was 23. We decided to explore a spot called Arroyo Forest, a place I had never been to before, though he had. It was midweek, but thanks to the nature of our jobs, we often had weekdays off. We'd use that time to escape into the wilderness, away from traffic, noise, and people. I always let him take the lead on these trips. He's an Eagle Scout. I'm not. We parked near a picnic area, grabbed our gear, and set off on foot into the woods. After about 15 minutes of hiking, we found a clearing big enough to fit 2 tents, a portable stove, and space for a campfire. Perfect. The sun was dipping below the trees as we finished setting up camp. Cousin, as usual, pitched his tent in under 5 minutes. Took me over 20. It always did. Actually, I haven't been camping since this night. That's how much it changed things. We gathered sticks and firewood, built a stone ring, and cheated a little by using fire starter and a lighter. Soon we had a nice fire going. Cousin started grilling steaks and burgers. He always went all out when it came to food. He was a great cook, so I let him handle it. We had our bear spray nearby, just in case the smell attracted wildlife. But Cousin always said it wasn't the bears you needed to worry about. It was the people. We cracked open a few beers and let some classic rock play through a Bluetooth speaker. If you've ever camped before, you know how those moments feel. Cold forest air, a warm fire, and good conversation. It was perfect. As night fell, we played cards on a small folding table we'd brought along. After a few rounds of traditional games, we started playing Uno. That's when it happened. We heard humming and footsteps out in the darkness, just beyond the trees. We paused the conversation. The woods went still. Then, clear as day, we heard it again. A person humming a tune as they walked past our campsite. But we couldn't see them, just footsteps and that strange, eerie humming. Cousin immediately told me to find the flashlight. By the time I did, the sounds had faded away. I asked him if we should be worried. He nodded. "That's definitely not normal," he said. "No one hikes this deep into the forest at night, especially not while humming and creeping past someone else's camp." We tried to go back to our game, but the mood had shifted. We kept our ears open. Then, out of nowhere, a thick branch landed right in the middle of our camp. Hard. It wasn't random. It didn't fall from a tree. Someone threw it. Cousin jumped up and yelled out into the woods, "Whoever's out there, get a life and leave us the hell alone." We heard footsteps again, fading, retreating, but that didn't make me feel any safer. I told Cousin we should pack up and move. He refused. "No way we're hiking out in the dark," he said. "Just keep the bear spray close." It was the only thing even close to a weapon we had. For the next hour, we kept hearing movement. Branches snapping in the distance, footsteps crunching in the leaves. These weren't sounds animals made. Someone, or more than one person, was out there watching us. Eventually, we needed sleep. We agreed to take turns staying up to keep watch. Cousin offered to go first. He said he'd stay up and read. I crawled into my tent, got into my sleeping bag, and tried to rest. I woke up sometime later. I didn't know why at first. My mind was foggy. My eyes were heavy, but something wasn't right. I looked up. There was a head peering into my tent. A silhouette, a face, watching me. I could barely make out any details in the darkness, but it looked like Cousin. I rubbed my eyes and mumbled, "Is it my turn?" The figure didn't respond. It just stared. Then the zipper closed quickly, and the head vanished. For a moment, I thought nothing of it. Maybe Cousin was just waking me for my shift. But something felt wrong. My gut twisted. I sat upright in my sleeping bag, heart pounding. Then I heard it. Footsteps walking away from my tent. I unzipped the flap and peeked outside. The fire was out. The camp was empty. Cousin wasn't there. I rushed to his tent, unzipped it, and found him fast asleep. I froze. Every hair on my body stood on end. That wasn't Cousin watching me. Someone else had been peering into my tent. I shook him awake. It took him a second to fully come to. When I explained what happened, he grabbed the bear spray and said he must have dozed off. He told me to sleep in his tent, and he'd stand guard while I grabbed my sleeping bag from mine. I hurried back, and that's when I heard it again. The humming, low, soft, and close. I snatched my sleeping bag and rushed back. "You hear that?" I whispered. Cousin nodded. "Yeah." We both got into his tent and zipped it shut. We held our cans of bear spray tight, staring at the fabric walls like they'd protect us from whatever, or whoever, was out there. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I watched while Cousin rested, and then we switched. By the time he woke me again, the sun was rising. We packed up in silence. There was plenty of daylight now, but neither of us said a word as we hiked back to the car. We could have gone to another site and spent another night camping, but neither of us felt like it. Something had changed. Something had followed us, watched us, maybe even stalked us. It's been 6 years since that night. Cousin has invited me to go camping again a few times since, but I haven't gone. I don't think I ever will. People are scarier than bears. And that face watching me in the dark, that's something I still see in my nightmares. When my friends and I rented a beach house in Florida, I never imagined how things would unfold. It was the four of us, John, Travis, Liam, and me, packed into a cramped car, driving down the coast. The house we booked was right on the beach. Literally, the front of the house faced the bay, and the backyard opened straight onto the sand. It sat on a long road with a mix of massive vacation homes and more modest-looking ones. Ours was one of the simpler ones. 4 bedrooms, nothing fancy, but clean and beach-themed to the max, seashells on the walls, ocean-themed paintings, and even a decorative surfboard leaning behind the living room TV. We didn't see a single car pass by while unloading. The houses were spaced far apart, so there was a sense of quiet privacy that, at first, felt relaxing. We claimed our bedrooms. I got lucky with one that had a view of the ocean, and the first thing we did was hit the beach. We swam, tossed a football around, and laid in the sun for hours. Apart from an older couple way down the shoreline, we had the beach all to ourselves. After dinner, we went out bar hopping in town and Ubered back after dark. Still buzzing from the drinks, we decided to hit the beach again and played a clumsy, drunken game of football under the moonlight. That's when I noticed something strange. I had just missed a catch and was running to grab the ball when I saw something in the water. The only reason I even spotted it was because of the moon's reflection on the waves. "What the hell is that?" I said aloud, squinting. It was a person, standing in the water, waist deep. My friends looked too. "Yeah, we see it," John muttered. It was weird, not terrifying, just off. It was well past midnight, but maybe it was just a local going for a late-night swim. We shrugged it off, went back to the deck, and cracked open a few beers. One by one, everyone started turning in for the night, until only John and I were left sitting outside. I kept glancing back toward where we had seen that person. I don't know why, it was just this uneasy curiosity. Then I saw them again, but this time, they weren't in the water. They were standing on the beach, just facing our house. I felt a chill creep over me. "Dude, look," I whispered to John. "They're still there." He turned to look and froze. "What the hell are they doing? They're just standing there." I stood up and called out, "Is everything okay?" John snapped, "Why would you do that?" I didn't even have an answer. The figure didn't move, didn't say a word, just stood there, completely still. We were officially creeped out. We went inside and locked up. Travis and Liam were already knocked out from drinking, so John and I decided to call it a night too. It was around 12:30 or 1 a.m., early by our standards, but the day had drained us. After brushing my teeth, I stood by the window, wanting one last look at the ocean before bed. That's when the fear really kicked in. There was someone standing on the deck, right in front of the house, facing me, not just on the beach anymore. They were at the house, still, silent, staring. I backed away from the window, heart racing, and ran to wake John. I banged on his door and dragged him to my room. But when we looked out, the person was gone. I swore up and down that they had been right there, standing as still as before. He believed me, but neither of us had the guts to go out and check. I peeked once more, saw nothing, then shut the blinds. Still, as I lay in bed, sleep just wouldn't come. I kept rolling from side to side. The image of that person burned into my brain. Who were they? Why were they creeping around? Then, knock! A slow, deliberate fist on the glass. My insides turned to ice. I held my breath, stayed completely still. Tap, tap, tap. Softer this time, but just as chilling. I couldn't bring myself to lift the blinds. I almost yelled, "Who is it?" But I stopped myself. Instead, I sprinted out of my room and started shouting for everyone to wake up. The guys came stumbling out, groggy and confused. We rushed to the deck and turned on every outdoor light we could. No one. The beach was empty, so was the front yard. We checked the sides of the house. Nothing. John and I told the others what had happened. We kept the backyard lights on the entire night. The next morning, still on edge, John and I visited the two nearest neighbors. We asked if they'd seen anything unusual. One of them hesitated, then shared something that made my skin crawl. Just a week earlier, someone had knocked on their door in the middle of the night. No answer when they asked who it was. Just more knocking, over and over. They never opened the door. We left the following day. Nothing happened again. But to this day, I still wonder, what would I have seen if I had lifted the blinds?